we are
We are.
live here, Tim and Fabe show. Looking forward to everybody who can take the time out, tune in with us. We're going to get into, of course, the process, the Sixers.
How it all started.
From the beginning to the end, it's all gonna be fun. You know, we had the opportunity. You know, I put up a few things earlier. Asked some guys, you know, what was the biggest mistake so far? Right off the bat, we had, you know, Hinkie, you know, being forced out by the NBA. We had, you know, drafted Markelle Fultz and trading up for him instead of taking Tatum. So some things like that. So we'll try and incorporate everything we can from you guys into the show today. Hey Cam, hey babe, thanks for tuning in. First things first, let's have a rundown of what's actually going down. All right. So the process started in the year 2013-14. Right. What happened first was Hinkie said we're going to trade Jrue Holiday. Does everybody remember we traded Jrue Holiday away? We got
in the back right here.
We got
That's where it all started.
Yeah.
I used to have a thing that said if I got the jersey, they would get traded, and I mean, there's the only one that's here so far. Hopefully, he stays.
Embiid's not going anywhere. If he does, it's all Fabian's fault. Just so you know, you heard it here first. But the first thing that happened was you traded away Jrue Holiday. You got Nerlens Noel, who was a 7th overall pick at the time, I believe, and a first-round overall pick. That first-round pick turned out to be Dario Saric, who they drafted years later. Or I guess they drafted him then, and then he came over 2 years later.
Yeah, he played in Barcelona for another 2-3 years.
Basically,
he waited till the Sixers got good.
Right. That year, we were 19-63. Right?
That wasn't the worst of it.
The first year of the process. So you draft Nerlens Noel. That was the first start. You get a first-round pick back. That turns into Dario.
Who was the coach back then? Wasn't it still, what's his name?
I believe Brett.
No, he took over the second year.
Second year?
So it was like Collins. What's his name?
Oh, Doug Collins?
Doug Collins, I think, was the coach right before him.
Okay, so Doug Collins, that was his last year then. You draft also MCW that year, right?
Rookie of the year.
Now, this is what we're going to do when I break this all down. This is what I'm going to do when I break this down. What's up, Mike? So you drafted MCW at the time. You know who they drafted MCW over? We're going to go through all the mistakes. Yeah, that's good. Giannis. So let's go all the way back to 2013.
This is where I'm gonna get it now. Hold on.
And we're gonna talk, this is why we're here.
Because what's the chances? What was he, 11th pick? Come on, man. It was a far off pick from Greece.
We
didn't even have a plan yet.
Okay, and I'm not saying that that's where it all went downhill. I'm just pointing out certain things here and there along the way, and if you guys see, you know, something that we missed, you know, let us know too. But that could have been the first thing that
could have.
You drafted, you know, MCW over Giannis. If you're gonna wait, you're doing the process anyway. You're gonna be tanking. Why not take a long-term project instead of MCW?
Who would have known? Who would have known?
All right. So you also traded away your favorite player, Evan Turner. That was his favorite player. Nah. That was my guy at the time. You know, when they drafted him, I wanted him. But
it was the next big thing for Tim.
He was not. No,
that was the next big thing for Tim.
So that's 2013, 2014. You also traded away Evan Turner, right? So 2014, 2015. Record that year was 18-64. You go in, you draft JoJo.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 overall, you know that he's hurt.
But wait, you trade away Michael Carter-Williams that year.
Trade away Thaddeus and MCW, right?
And that ended up getting as a pick.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what pick that was. I didn't write that down. I just wrote down, you know, just little brief points. Like, he traded away Thaddeus and MCW that year. A lot of people were saying you keep MCW. He's a, you know, what was he, Rookie of the Year? And, you know, some people didn't understand. And to be honest, I didn't like the process from the get-go. I don't like losing on purpose.
It was different. He was the best player on a bad team.
Yeah. So, you know,
and he was a rookie.
You traded him away. Best of the top 3. Yeah, exactly, Mike. So many Kim, I know. Listen, it's all going to be a refresher course. So you drafted JoJo number 3. Don't forget, and this all goes into the Sixers and the whole thing about, remember, they just missed on Giannis. You draft JoJo number 3. He fell to you at 3.
Yeah, because of an injury.
What was the slogan for that year? You remember?
Winless for Wiggins.
There it is. Winless for Wiggins. Everybody wanted Wiggins.
Yes.
We didn't even want Embiid. And remember, they showed him when he got drafted. You know what I mean? He looked like he did. His reaction was delayed, so everybody thought that he didn't want to come here.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole big thing. Nobody really thought or wanted Embiid.
It was a long process, guys. It was
Wiggins,
It was just
Wiggins.
starting.
Right? So you draft JoJo number 3 because he was hurt. Trade away Thaddeus and MCW. You're starting to get rid of the old pieces, especially Thaddeus, who was here for the Iggy years and those 8 seed playoff years. So, like I said, you were 18-64 that year. The next year, 2015-2016, you're 10-72. Right? Now, also in this year,
and this right here is really bad.
Listen,
this is where it goes bad.
Listen, this is also the year where your favorite coach and mine, Bert Brown, got a 2-year extension. The first 2-year extension he got. You know what I mean?
Hate
You
Brett.
draft Jahlil Okafor.
Let Brett go.
Right? This is also the same year that the NBA. That's the same year that Colangelo was forced onto us. I think he resigned the final week of the season. So you draft Jahlil Okafor, right? Going into the season, Jalil's a good player.
In college, he was great, but the NBA grew.
I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Even in the NBA, his first year, he was 18-9.
He had good numbers.
He had a good year. His first year. I'm only talking about his first year. You really thought he was going to be something. He got hurt late.
Mm-hmm.
Now, remember, Hinkie's forced to leave at that moment, right? Which is, to me, one of the biggest things in the process.
The biggest.
Overall, you had 3 different general managers. You had to really think about that. 3 different general managers and ideas, but we'll get into all that. So you draft Jahlil Okafor over Kristaps Porzingis, right? Also, Devin Booker. Now, of course, you might not have said, all right, Devin Booker wasn't a top 3 pick. Okay. And like I said, I'm not here to say exactly what it was that brought the downfall. Porzingis was a top 3 pick for sure. Absolutely.
Where was he drafted?
Yeah, I thought Jahlil was going to be something too, Mike. And yeah, Kim.
Everybody.
Lord have mercy.
that watched Jahlil in college.
Yeah, I mean, so we didn't get Jahlil Okafor. I mean, we got Jahlil Okafor. We didn't get Kristaps, right? You didn't get Devin Booker. Now
you're definitely right about that, Mike. He said Porzingis wasn't ready for Philly. You're completely right. He would have been booed out of here.
Maybe he would have been. Maybe he wouldn't have been because, hey, the next year you playing next to JoJo. Who knows? Who knows was that going to swing? You know what I mean? He went to New York and didn't like it there.
He likes
thought
to
he was
play out there. He does not want to post.
He thought he was ready for New York. He wasn't. You know what I mean? He's not about the losing. That's what I think if we had showed the dedication to winning, and he had been a big part of it, I think we could have got him to stay.
He wasn't.
But I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I agree. Like
I said, Embiid's tough. You know what I mean? But
who knows? This is the whole point of the show. Who knows what could have happened, right? So you draft. That's the draft. That was Hinkie. He was there for that one. Let's talk about Booker. Who does everybody say we want right now? Devin Booker. If you had Devin Booker, he'd be perfect for the team. So we missed out on him as well. He went, I think, 11th.
Oof.
So that's why I said, like, if you're not saying that he was a number 3 pick overall at the time, then I can understand that. But I still say, to me, looking back on it, which is what we're doing, that could have been looked at as a mistake. So like I said, Hinkie leaves that final week of the season. He writes the whole big letter, to Philly. Remember that whole thing. Mm-hmm. So,
So right there first, before anybody, because... So everybody talks about Hinkie, he left, it was bad for us. What did he really do?
Hinkie?
Except for tank us and make us a bad team.
Well, that's what the whole thing was. The NBA said what you're doing, you're losing on purpose.
But I understand that, but it didn't come out with great players except for Joel.
Well, that's the whole thing of that's all right. Well, let me.
That was a lot of top picks for just Joel.
Well, let's break it down. Let's keep going because we're gonna I want to go up until right now. You know what I mean? So and then we can break down what each GM did. Because I think up until that point, like you said, do you think he did a good job or a bad job?
I think it might have turned into a better job because then the players coming out the next few years. But why did we take 3 big men in a row?
He was.
That's a big question for me.
But that's the thing. He was just going to acquire assets, and he might have made that trade. And I got something here, and I'll jump to it right now, just for the purpose of what you're talking about. If Hinkie was here, would he have made that trade for Kawhi? Yeah. You know, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't necessarily. I don't think he was necessarily married to anybody except Joel. And I think everybody else that he might have acquired might have been a trade asset to get a better player. And he might have said, hey, listen, I'm going to trade whoever to get Kawhi because Kawhi is who Kawhi is.
What's up, Jacob?
Yo, what's up, Jake? So we're in the 2016-2017 season. You know what I mean? You had Nerlens at the time. Right now, you have Nerlens, JoJo, and Jaleel, like you said.
But JoJo's hurt the second year too.
JoJo's hurt, but like you said, why do we have 3 big men, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all going to the Sixers and Art. Can you really trust what they're doing in the process? Is this process good? Can you trust it? So the next year, right? You had 3 big men. This is why I also said if you had drafted Porzingis, he doesn't play. He plays the big, but he's a 4. But you know what I mean. You draft Ben Simmons. Easy pick. You draft to number 1 overall. You can't go wrong.
Another hurt year.
He gets hurt. This is also the same year that Dario comes over. He's finally over. Remember, he got drafted in 2014. This is now 2016.
And Embiid plays, right? Embiid plays like 35 games.
Yeah, Embiid plays. That was the year with T.J. McConnell when they played against, his last game was against Houston. He put up almost 50 or something crazy. Him and Harden were going back and forth. So Dario comes over, right? So you draft Ben Simmons. Ready for this one? You also draft in that draft TLC, Timothy
Lowell Cabaret or something like that,
and Furkan Korkmaz. Good job, Furkan. You finally came around. You finally given us something.
It took a while.
Do you know who we passed up on?
No.
We could have had Pascal Siakam and Malcolm Brogdon. Both went after both of these picks. So not could you just not have one. You could have had both. Malcolm Brogdon ended up being Rookie of the Year, winning it over Dario.
Over Dario though, that was bad because Dario should have won.
They kind of didn't want to give it to Dario because of the whole. I believe because of the whole Sixers thing. You know, you can't reward them for losing, but that to be said, he still won Rookie of the Year, and also Pascal Siakam.
But he's also took a while to develop. But you were talking about players who develop.
Exactly. So, exactly my point. So you take a player to develop, Sixers, what are you looking at? You rather wait for TLC or Furkan over Siakam or Brogdon?
TLC didn't even look like a basketball player. Like, not to judge, but man, he was just skinny all around. He sucked.
More to the point, can you trust the Sixers to get the right people? This is the draft, like the whole. This is again.
The whole purpose of tanking was to draft.
Again, you got to remember now you're in the second regime of the GM.
Yes, Mike. We can't develop talent. It's a big thing here.
He developed Ben, not so much. Yeah. Well, listen. I don't know. Is it talent or is developing talent as well? That's nice.
Let's watch Joel.
Also, I'm more focused on talent evaluation. You're passing up on these other guys. Like you really said, I'll take TLC over Siakam. You really said I'll take Furkan over Brogdon. Why? If you're going to wait for guys, right? Like you said, you're waiting for these guys.
Overseas effect. You know how many people are taking these risks on
Colangelo, who loved overseas players, who also took Bargnani. Remember he took Bargnani with Toronto #1 overall? Overseas guys, where's he at? I think it was like over Melo or something. One of those, it was something crazy. But so that's 2016, 2017. Dario comes over, like I said, we're 28-54. Ben gets hurt. JoJo plays a few games, pretty much, a handful.
He plays really well.
Yeah, he played really well. You were really excited. You trade Nerlens Noel away because, you know, if you remember, he did not want to be a backup. He didn't.
And he hasn't done nothing since either.
No, and if he had signed here as a backup, he would have been making more money than he made up until this point in his career. But that's what happens when egos can't get out the way of what you need. You could have been a beautiful role player behind JoJo, and if you had stayed, he would have been playing anyway because he was hurt.
You look at just these players we draft and how they developed. None of them actually had any success.
That's why I say, is it development?
It's like our most successful person that comes from the Sixers, like that's not a huge star, is Robert Covington. And you would say that he's in the NBA from the Sixers beginning because he was part of the process, part of the 3-year really bad process. He was undrafted, and he won first team in All NBA defense. Right. I mean, you still got to give it to him, and they gave us potential to trade too. So
what's up, Rob? What's up, Co? Right. So you got. So that's 2016, 2017 draft. Like I said, you got all of that. So the next year, 2017, 2018, we're getting close to the present time, right? What happens? You remember that?
Yeah, this is.
It was like yesterday. But here's the thing. And let's be honest. You were excited when we got the number 1 pick to get. You knew we were taking Fultz. You were excited. I was excited
because what was promised was huge. Like, what was promised was huge. It looked good, but once you start hearing all the backstories, of course they came afterwards, because that's all what happens. All the backstories of how he was before the draft, or how teams were looking at him, or how he didn't perform well even when they came to practice for them, and that's why some teams didn't even want him. And we took him number 1.
Talent development. Now, again,
what's he
maybe
doing?
Hinkie wouldn't have made that trade. You had to think. This is what you had to think about, because this is he was the process starter. Joel was the process. He was the whole. He was the one that said, "I'm the process. I'll take the mantle." All that, but the idea came from Hinkie.
Yeah, Kim. They kept it private, and that was another thing. Like, what was going on with Markelle Fultz? Oh, you talking about the other teams? I even think Sixers kept some other stuff private with Markelle Fultz.
Fultz, listen, you draft him number 1, you trade up, you could have just had Tatum. Like that is
that would have been the team we need.
Right?
He's developing to a player that wants the ball.
Right? But now also in that offseason you signed JJ Redick, right? Then what happens? Colangelo shows he ain't anything anyway. Twitter accounts, burner cells, and all of this nonsense.
So more Sixers drama.
So the NBA gave us this guy, told us to take this guy. Listen. I hear you, Cole, about Holiday. You know what I mean? Started the process. Maybe we should have kept him because he's still playing well. You know,
great. Remember we loved him. I remember us. We loved him, man.
You see the jersey, he kept it for a reason. That was his guy. We loved. Like, I didn't want to trade Drew. That was part of the reason why I didn't even want the process to start, because I'm like, you're going to trade these people away.
But you knew it started at that exact time.
But here we are, and this is what we're going to get to. Not getting Tatum was the biggest blunder. Tatum picked Hurts. Yes,
I don't agree with that, Kim. I don't think they do anything elsewhere. I really don't, except for maybe Drew. Drew is probably the big Drew Holiday. Other than that, who else? Okafor didn't do nothing in the Nets, and now he's in New Orleans. Like when people get injured, he plays. You know, it's Nerlens Noel is the minimum right now, getting the minimum.
So think about it. Think about all the players that we've drafted. Up to the point that right now we're at the Fultz draft, right? Think about all the players. Was the process worth it? Everybody that's watching right now, I ask you right now, was the process worth it? Right up until this point, right now, even if past the Fultz draft, right now, you got Ben Simmons. Let's really dig into what we have. You have Ben Simmons, and you have Joel Embiid that you got from the process, right? If you want to throw in Tobias and Jay Rich because of the trades and other things too, okay, fine. But is that team good enough to win a championship? Is the process okay without winning a championship? To me,
no.
I say absolutely not.
No. But I still think we could get a championship. I still think at the end of it, what equaled out was it's a great team.
Oh, I guess you say, Iggy. Yeah, I guess he had a lot of success.
Yeah,
Iggy got a lot. His jump shot got so much better, man. We were just talking about
it's
that.
it's a difference. But listen, Iguodala is never the all-star player that Sixers wanted him to be. And everybody, I feel like everybody that we talked, like I've talked to people back in the day with Iggy, everybody knew he was like a third person. He wasn't a first or second person. He was like a third person. What was he in Golden State?
Yeah, fourth.
Yeah.
Third, fourth.
So it's
Come
not
off the
like
bench.
when nobody's sticking, you're gonna get better.
Yeah, so I think everybody agrees that unless they win a championship, it's kind of hard to say that, the process was worth it. All the losing, the 10-70, like I just said, we just went 10-72, then 28-54. So the year we get
And
draft Fultz.
then 2B, right?
Right. I ain't even get there yet.
All right.
I ain't even get there yet. So I'm gonna get to so that's the Fultz draft, right? The whole Colangelo thing. We signed JJ. We go 52 and
Colin
30.
said we needed stars. That's what I think Hinkie would have done with picking up all those players.
Would Hinkie have made the trade to guarantee you to get a Kawhi Leonard here? Those are the questions. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the whole thing. Like the process. To
3 general managers.
Three.
So that's the difference.
I didn't even get to Elton yet.
Yeah, we haven't got to Elton.
So the next year, right? No GM because Colangelo thing. Brett's drafting for you. You trade Mikal. We did a live episode. We did a live for the draft. And after we drafted Mikal, we were both happy. We ended the
We
episode.
got a shooter.
On the way home, we heard it. And I called Fabian, and listen.
What are we doing?
We were pissed. Why would you trade away the perfect fit for your team for a guy that you don't know who played power forward? So, listen, real quick. You also drafted Landry Shamet, you know what I mean, which ended up being a good pick. You hired Elton as a GM after your draft. You trade Covington and Sarge for Butler. Then you trade Shamet and some pieces for Tobias and Boban. So at that point, you have a really, a solid roster where you think that you can actually do something.
Mike says, folks, trade for a bag of beans. Yep, but
yeah,
at that point, that's all we could have, man.
Well, at this, it was you
It's
said,
almost looking out for the kid at that point.
To Mike, to your point of Porzingis wasn't ready. It was the Wolves were coming out for Fultz here in Philly, and nobody wanted to wait for him any longer. We spent the number 1 pick for you. I think it was just more of a matter of just get him out of here so he's not a distraction to the team. Nobody has to answer questions for him anymore and cut your losses. And also, this is what happens. We
waited too long. We could have traded him and got Kawhi. He could have been in it. Remember when they
I don't know if that was ever true. I don't know. I'm not going to say that it
because
wasn't.
We also had the number something pick next year and stuff like that. We were doing.
Listen.
Why did we trade Fultz? He's not that good.
Listen.
That's why he was a number 1 pick and he will start off the bench for you. Is that a number 1 pick for you?
Let's be real. If Fultz
Jonathan Simmons.
Fultz wasn't going to do anything, and you had to get rid of him. It was a distraction. But what I was about to say is, and also in the trading Fultz, this is what happens when it's a different regime. What happened to make you want to trade Fultz? Elton comes in. I didn't draft Fultz. Why do I have to deal with the headache? Why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, if another GM also, you know how it goes. You draft a guy number 1. You don't want to look bad for drafting him number 1, so you have to hold on to him a little bit longer. You'll wait a little bit longer. But a new GM comes in, he's like, I want to get my guys. Guys that you know what I mean? Every time somebody was asking Elton a question about Fultz, it was, well, I don't know what's going on. I have no answer for him. I have no answer what's going on. I don't know what the injury is. I don't know anything. You know what I mean?
When I heard this one thing afterwards, when the most depressing thing after Fultz was drafted, and then you hear all the stories, was he was never a star.
Fultz?
Yes.
And you
like in school, he was never like the top
in college
person. No, in college, yes, but in high school, he was never like a top leader. There was like things that said that he wasn't a leader. It's like that kind of research scares you. Like, damn, he's not gonna turn out to nothing.
listen, for whatever reason, Markel didn't work out, and I think that drafting him, not only drafting him, trading up for him was a big mistake. Trading him could be a mistake. I still don't think I look at Markel Fultz, and when he plays, I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he's playing. He's still not shooting any jump shots. You know, he might shoot a little pull up here and there, but he's still not shooting a 3-ball like you want him to do this. So I don't even know. He would have helped his team. I agree, but
yes,
how much? How much would he really have helped his team? And then what your expectations were? Drafting him number 1, we want more from him. So
and that was always the case. That's always the case.
I can understand why some people were just, me personally, I was done with Fultz. Because he said, oh, this, that, and the third, or all this winning starts when I get to Philly, blah, 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 blah. And I don't even know what happened to you.
So then,
to this day.
We got right here, we got Horford. Are you going to get into that?
Yeah. All right, so the 2019-20 season, this is this year, of course. You sign and trade Jimmy to get Jay Rich. You sign back, you re-sign Tobias, and then, of course, you sign
Al
Horford to play the 4, and you lose J.J. Redick. Now that we're up to our current status, right? Let's really get into the GMs, okay? So now you have Hinkie. Let's break it down. Hinkie had the idea
of getting assets.
Acquire assets by losing is the only way to get better.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't see his plan come to fruition. You bring in Colangelo.
Which was an NBA pick.
Which is NBA pretty much
forced Hinkie out.
You know what I mean? You have that happen. So now Hinkie's plan, in all reality, is no more. So the process really only still lives with Joel because he says it's the process. But is it working? Is it worth it? So you have that happen. Now you have Hinkie here. He does the right thing. He drafts Ben. You can't really mess that up, right? The next year, he messes it up. Not doing his reports or whatever. Doesn't understand folks might be a head case, even though some other teams did. The second regime. Then you have Elton, who comes in, who has a whole different idea. So where is the process?
So then Elton, of course, and you think about it, Elton was a big guy. He saw a chance at getting Horford. And I'm going to get into Horford in a minute. And that's why I actually think we got him. We saw he was an Embiid stopper, which if you watch the playoffs, he was. He was an Embiid stopper. Embiid couldn't do absolutely nothing inside with Horford against Boston. I don't know. Officially, did it work? I think we would have gotten here. True, with the start of Jrue Holiday. I don't think we needed to lose everything. And then, that when Hinkie went out, that process stopped and went on to something else. And so it took longer than it should have in the first place. And I think when we actually started doing it right, we got good players. We got better faster. I just think that's part of the NBA. You really don't have to tank. You just have to have draft well.
Draft well. Nobody else in the NBA is tanking, and then people win the NBA every year. Somebody's winning every year. Toronto won. They win just traded for Kawhi. They got their championship. So
most teams draft and win.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. What's up, Bobby? So Cohen, I agree with you. Like, we could have kept JJ and signed somebody else instead of Horford. We could.
No, I don't. Listen,
let's
okay.
Okay.
So,
all right, I actually agree.
What were we mad about JJ in the playoffs?
Defense.
He got burned.
Yes.
Burned badly, and this is what I keep saying to people. People are mad at Horford way to the playoffs because, and this is what I gotta say about him. I think he will play well, especially if he takes on a role. Especially if, the playoffs is all about matchups. If the team got a big matchup, we'll play him. And if he could play the role of the bench at times, I think it's even better for us. JJ was too much a defensive, what is that called? Like, when you just... He just wasn't good at defense. Everybody beat him.
You're a fool, Bobby. I know what you're saying, but what's the one thing we need right now? And you don't even.
But do you remember how we used to get him to shoot?
But what? All right, but hold up, because
I don't think we need that.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying you could have kept him. He could have come off the bench.
Yeah, but
he could have come off the bench. And that's all I'm saying. You don't have. I'm not saying keep him in the starting lineup. So that's what I'm saying. Cole, I see what you're saying. If you're saying keep him.
Maybe if
you're saying maybe
he would still be here. Ben Simmons wouldn't actually taking this aggressive role this season that he's finally doing. So I don't know.
Listen, you would have if you had JJ. You know that everybody would have been guarding him. You know Furkan's giving you something right now, but nobody else is giving you anything. So maybe you would have.
Yeah, you're right. It would be the defense thinking. Okay, but
and that's the only reason I'm saying he's not starting off the bench. Give you just to space the floor. You know what I mean? Who knows? But. I can see.
The playoffs was bad, and if people watch the playoffs, JJ Redick was bad, and he did miss a lot of shots. You know what I mean?
He did. Listen,
it was the stop at the middle as Ben Simmons does, screen to Redick the three, and see if he makes it or not.
But like I said, I would want him in a. I'm thinking
for defensive purposes as a. I'm sorry, for the other team's defensive, but like they gotta stick him. At least you gotta stick him. So,
and like I said, he's not getting starter minutes. He's coming off the bench. You know what I mean? So it's not like he's going to be out there at that same critical moments late in the game. You know what I'm saying?
My bad. I guess that's what the camera does.
What happened?
It's backwards the jerseys.
Oh.
Oh well, y'all know who they are. If y'all watch the Sixers, y'all know who they are, man. Stop hating.
Yo, what's up, John? What's up, Ray? So let you sign Horford, maybe Brett would have done the right thing and like the same way he
Brett
does
doesn't
with
do
Horford,
the right thing.
The same way he does with Horford right now. He's coming off the bench. maybe Horford signing will be good because he's coming off the bench and him and so back real quick back to the GM Ellen Brand. Is he doing a good job? Like, cause you can already say Colangelo. You didn't have to think about the number one pick with Ben, right? You messed up with Fultz.
I think it's too early to tell him, man. It's just how can you say he's doing bad when he got us the actual team that we're saying could compete for a chip?
Okay,
so did it last year. We compete. Look, we lost by a last-second shot by Kawhi Leonard, and I think we actually had a chance at the Bucks.
So you think he's doing a good job?
I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, it's no right or wrong answer. This is all based off of what you think. I'm just saying, you have to when you really consider the process. It's not one cohesive thought. It's three different GMs, two coaches.
What you mean? Yes, except for Tobias, Kim. I just want to see what she means by that. And is Burks and Robinson enough
to get to the finals? I believe so. Now, like I said,
we gotta see them play. I can never say right away, man. We'll
get to the finals, to win it. I don't know. I won't go that far. To get to the finals, I still think we can run through the East. Not run through easily, but I still think we can get through the East. If Tobias is playing the 4, to me, that's his better position.
The NBA, he's a 4 now, man.
He's not a 3.
He's a 4.
He's not a 3.
And he
could be there sometimes, but he's a 4. You know what I mean? Like you said, that's the NBA now.
No, I don't think he's worth all the max money. You're right, but what else are we gonna do with that money anyway? Now Horford isn't worth the money right now.
And the thing about Tobias, what you have to understand is
he's versatile, man.
He was going to get that money anyway.
He's versatile too. Look, I like Tobias personally. I like when he plays hard. He brings us rebounding. Yes, he's sometimes bad at defense, but he's not that bad when he plays hard. He actually plays hard. He's a little weak, I would say. He gets beat in the post, I would say. But other than that, I think he got all right defense. But in the offense, he brings us versatility. He brings us length. He does take advantage of the smaller players sometimes with that fadeaway shot. He's good, and you saw him dunk on. When he plays aggressive, he's good. When the team plays aggressive, of course they're going to be better. But I'm saying Tobias is pretty versatile for our team. I like him. I personally like him for our team. He's a great fit. He knows he takes the role well. He's not talking about I'm the star, give me the ball. You know what I mean? He's fitting the role very well right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like Tobias and Bobby. I agree with what you said. You said the rest of the season comes down to road toughness, plain and simple. Man up on the road.
The best part of the NBA is coming up, man. It's the
I still like our chances. If we get to the finals, you know what I mean. You know who knows? Maybe some injuries happen. I don't know. It happened last year, but I still think I don't think I'm not worried about Boston, honestly. And I'm gonna just be honest. I'm not worried about Miami either. The Bucks maybe on the road, but that's what it all comes down to. Just like Bobby said,
about
like
the
if
Raptors.
we can, I ain't worried.
You're not worried about. I feel like we just don't play well again. They I don't know. I'm worried about the Raptors. And I don't know. So I just think at the end of it all, was it worth it? Look at the team we have now. So
I forgot about the drafting of Thibault. We got Thibault too.
That was
a great pick.
I think he's gonna be huge on the playoffs too. He is still a kind of a little untold story. He needs to develop a shot, but hey, that's a person off the bench. That's a rookie off the bench. You know what I mean? He's playing his role well.
Yo, what's up, Ace? Yeah, hey Bobby, I think we can jump 2 spots. I think we can actually
I think
get.
it's only by 4 anyway.
Are we 5
we
right
fifth,
now?
yeah.
I think we can, but I will say I believe we will be top 4. I won't say we get to 3. I think we can, but it really comes down to right now, and I'm gonna be my guy, but it comes down to Brett being able to coach, put guys in the right position to succeed. You know what I mean? You saw that maybe he might have been turning the corner, figuring out the lineup with putting Horford to the bench, and Horford seems to accept the role. So yeah, I think we can. Miami has an easy schedule, so do we. But I don't know, man. I just don't. They could lose here and there. They're playing above their potential. Jimmy's always hurt here and there, so who knows what can happen. We could go on a crazy streak. We could start playing well. So I definitely think we'll finish top 4 and get at least that first round home court advantage.
Miami doesn't scare me either.
What's up, Shay?
Miami does not scare me. I think we actually just got to get their number. I think those experiences are needed in the beginning of the season to see what we're going to face in the playoffs. And those games, we've been beat by coaching. Plain and simple, a lot of times we've been beat by coaching. Also, those dumb mistakes that happened with Embiid holding the ball against 3 people. But
yo, what's up, Lid?
But it shouldn't have gone down to that. We have the better team. We do. We have the better team.
It comes down to coaching.
It does.
It will. It really will. And this is why I said all year. What I've been saying to you all year. I don't like Brett. He makes mistakes. He does this. I'm not saying Brett's perfect. I'm not saying he's the one that's going to be the guy to get us there. But it's not going to matter about wanting him fired or anything because he's going to determine his own fate in about 6 weeks when the playoffs start. And if we don't get past the second round, he will be done. It won't be any debate about it. So, to all the people that don't like Brett Brown or don't believe that he can do it, it's only going to be up to him. It's not. You don't even have to worry. Don't even stress yourself out about it because when the playoffs come, if he can't get it done, he won't be here next year. I can promise you that. If he doesn't get past the second round for the 3rd year in a row with a better team each year, then something's wrong. You got to change the coach at that point. And if Elton doesn't do that, then we're in trouble. Then you got something to worry about.
Why don't the Celtics scare you?
The Celtics don't scare me because I think they got their revenge game. That last game we played them, we were 3-1 against them. I think that they don't really have an answer for JoJo. I think they did want to get the season series sweep. Let us get it so that they played with some emotion that last game. But I'm not really worried about that.
Oh man, hold on, cause Della just made a big point. I told him at the beginning of the season, we're supposed to be the team that teams fear. Remember I used to tell you that why are we losing against these teams? Because we're played this way. Because Joel did no. They're supposed to come in here and try to beat us. We are supposed to be the top team. And there was a lot of people picking us to win the chip. I think we are weak. And I think Mr. Brett Brown has a lot to do with it. He was a process coach.
He's a processor. There's been 85 players to play on our team during this process, real quick. But so yeah, I mean, listen, our the coaching decisions are going to be crucial. I do think we can get there. I do think we'll make a strong push to get to that 3 seed. As far as toughness, I think it's going to come from Ben and Jay Rich. I think that Jay Rich is the glue to this team. I think that when we had our biggest problems, he wasn't on the court. He does a lot of things. He can defend. He can score. He's clutch. He's smart. He brings that mentality from Miami of being around a Spoelstra and a Pat Riley, knowing what it takes. You see who was the one that called the meeting, who was the one that's been speaking out and said there was no accountability. It's been Jay Rich. And for, guys that come into a new locker room, it's hard to just step in and be the leader unless you're a LeBron or a Harden or somebody that's already got that cachet. So for Jay Rich to be in the position that he is at this point, I think it speaks leaps and bounds
I think he's huge.
About his leadership role, and I think he is the leader of the team. So when it comes to toughness, I think you have to look to him, and I think more than just physical toughness is mental, because I don't think physically I'm worried, because even if you think about that last game we just played, we were physical with them.
All right, so Colin, we have two styles of play. You're right, but a good coach will make that work. If sending Horford to the bench was the answer to that, and it might be that there's two styles, because once Horford got in and played with Ben, they actually looked really good together. Horford plays better with Ben. Now, once again, a good coach will make Embiid and Ben Simmons play better. Now, I gave it up to, if you heard the last show, I gave it up to Coach Brett, because I saw a lot of the pick and rolls with Ben Simmons and Embiid. If that improves, we are going to be a problem in the playoffs. If you saw that, we scored on Kawhi, we scored on their big man, and guess who was taking most of the shots? Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was taking it in. He passed it off like 2 or 3 times, but the pick and roll was working. So you got to learn how to play them both together. That's what a good coach does. Let's not make this a Westbrook, Durant, and Harden thing. Let's not break all these up and then wait another 5 years. Let's make this work. Ben Simmons is great. Yes, he's frustrating. Listen, if anything, he frustrates me more than anything. But ultimately, he's great. If you can make these two players develop, man, we'll have another 6-7 years, and they'll only be 31-30.
Yeah, I listen. So, Cohen said, "What's our window of opportunity, winning?" And then Bobby said, "How does Ben exist in a half-court playoff basketball?" And I think those two can coexist. So, as far as the window of opportunity, I would say, if you're keeping Ben and JoJo together, you got about 3-4 years before JoJo, if he's not already in a prime fashion, before he says, "All right, it's going to be a decline for me." And as far as Ben existing in the half, he has to be off the ball and be the screen and roller. You see a lot of dump downs to Ben now, and you're going to see what I hope you're going to see in the second half is now you have with Burks and Robinson, you have playmakers. Now, of course, let's think about the team before. Matisse is not a playmaker, right? You're coming off the bench. Matisse is not a playmaker. Ennis wasn't a playmaker. Mike Scott's not a playmaker. Who else is coming off the bench? Furkan's not really a playmaker. He's just a shooter. So now you have Burks, who can play backup point guard, and Robinson, who can at least drive / create his own shot. And when you can create your own shot and everybody on the floor can do that, it creates opportunities for everybody else, like a Ben Simmons, to cut, which I saw a lot of in the last game was a lot of layups.
He was playing power forward.
There was a lot of layups for Ben. Guys were driving, giving it to Ben right there. He got a lot of easy layups. So I think you got to see a lot more of that, the high-low with Ben low in the playoffs, Bobby, to answer your question.
Listen, man, he's not going to shoot a 3. I always wanted him to have a 2-point shot more than a 3-point shot. But listen, he's been playing very aggressive, and we got to give it to him. I've been seeing him want the ball way more. I've been seeing him try to dunk on people, which we used to talk about. That he never tries to dunk on people. You know what?
Oh, yeah,
The last 10 games, he's been trying every game.
He's been dunking on people.
Yeah, he's been very aggressive, and and somebody asked why did you call it the rise of Ben Simmons, and that's why he's always been good, he's always been great. To me, he's turned into a superstar. Like I seen the last 10, 15 games, him going up. Like the aggressiveness is there. Like I said, the willingness to change up his game with that. Listen, the pick and roll surprised me so much against that Clippers game, because it was working very well. They need shooting. They do, and maybe Korkmaz wasn't the answer, but you know what? They gotta stick Korkmaz too. And Korkmaz, listen, he was being stuck by Paul George.
I agree. So Mike says, Embiid doesn't pass the ball when he catches at the 3-point line. Brett has to get him in check. Mike, like you said, it ain't gonna happen. Brett's not that type of coach. Unfortunately, he's not gonna get anybody in check. So that type of approach, and I think even if he did, I think the players would lose more respect for him because that's not who he's been up until this point. So you'll never see him get anything in check. Kim, I don't think that Ben just wanted to solidify his All-Star spot. I think that he really is trying. I think he sees the potential, saying, in order for us to be great, I have to be great, and I have to be aggressive. And I think that's what he was doing. And to your point of the All-Star, like when you see him out there amongst the All-Stars, it looks like he's supposed to be out there.
It does. I mean,
you know what I mean? That's what you want to see when he did it. Like last year, I won't say that, but this year, last year he played well, but this year it looked like
alley-oop catches that he was catching. He was high.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that you were like, oh, who caught that? Oh, that was Ben. I did that a few times, so I don't think that was that. I think he's just realizing that he has a lot more to give, and he needs to give it. And I think that's you know what I mean.
But that was when Cohen just said something. But that's when we knew we were starting the process.
Vucevic go.
Temple, boy, Allen. But yeah, going back to that, I think it's taken long, and I'm gonna say it again. It's taken much longer than usual with this great team because we don't have the coach to go to equal what we have in a team. We don't, man.
All right,
we don't.
We would listen.
He's got to go to Boston.
All right,
He's got to go back to Boston.
All right, that's how you feel. And like I said, he will determine his own fate. You know what I mean?
So I gave it up to him last time. Let's see what he does next time.
Like Hov said, they put themselves in the air. I just kick away the chair. You know what I mean? Like, if Brett's going to hang himself, he's going to hang himself. You know, it's not going to be because of anybody else. He ain't going to have anybody else to blame. He can't blame the team. He can't blame. He got everything he needs right now, except maybe some more shooters. But you have enough to compete and to look and to be able to coach them to the finals and through the East, to me. So, if he doesn't get it done, he'll be gone. And then you'll be
super happy.
Yeah, you'll be happy.
Because I think that's, listen, that'll probably be the start of the dynasty.
All right, so
if we keep our players.
All right, so real quick. All right, so like the whole point of the show was to ask the question, right? Of up until this point, right now, right,
Yes,
right at
please,
this
people.
very moment, people, was the process worth it? Was it worth the tanking, the losing, and everything that came along with it up until this point to get?
So how long was this? Since when?
2013-14 season. So you got
That's
7 years.
6-7 years.
Has it been worth it? Would you do it again? Would you say, if you knew exactly where we were going to get to right now, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, obviously. Would you say, all right, given exactly what happened, I'll do it all again?
So Mike says yes.
Hmm.
What I did, I would do it differently. I wouldn't tank. I'm sorry. I would try to get trades. You would have low picks because we didn't have the good team.
Cohen, I think that they got lucky again. The Warriors, their streak of luck is remarkable. That the guys get hurt, so they don't have to look. They don't really have to tank. You know what I mean? Guys were hurt, so Draymond's not playing. You're not going to rush Curry.
Steph Curry could have played.
He could have been back earlier. So you know what I mean. So I think that they got lucky again, just like the way they signed Kevin Durant, just like their first few championships, but they had all the injuries. Don't even get me started. I can go a whole episode on them. So, but real quick, I'm gonna just read
Kim, you're so right. You are
What she
so
say? What
right.
she say?
I didn't want to wait another season. I said it before. I have like 25 Sixers cups in my cupboard with various players throughout the process. I'm over it. I agree.
How about that? I mean, that's a crazy question. Like people that go to the games on a regular basis, how many different cups do you get with different players on it that you have? Hey Kim, I would love to see some random cups.
Remember
put
Thompson?
That up in the kitchen.
We had Isaiah Cannon. Remember Isaiah Cannon? Like
Cannonball.
we had a bunch of those, man. It's
Cole. Before we got on, man, we talked about Evan Turner. We talked about that. That's what I said, Cole. Our scouts, man, our player development, and it just to piggyback over what you just said, I was about to read it off real quick. These are the players that we could have had that we didn't draft. I don't care who we drafted in place. This is players that we could have had. Giannis, Porzingis, Booker with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, right? Siakam, Brogdon. I'm gonna just leave it. Tatum. Giannis, Porzingis, Booker, Siakam, Brogdon, Tatum. We passed on all of them.
Like people say Fultz was the worst one because that's in your most recent memory. Because there's been some bad ones. Because we picked the players that were even worse than the seconds and third picks all those seasons.
It's crazy when you look back at it, man. So yeah, I mean, to me, this is me personally as far as the
we're not
goes.
bad, Mike. We're not. But I think it's like I just think I would have done it a little bit different. We not bad. I like our team now, but the 7 years of this crap.
Listen, Mike. Listen. If you think that
or
if
5
you think
really bad years and then 2 years in the playoffs getting out coached because we can't get a different coach and we gave him an extension anyway.
I understand where you're coming from as far as you know you might not have gotten the stars that you have now without tanking because you're not going to sign them in free agency coming in 8th spot and nobody wanted to come to Philly for a while. Everybody knows that. So yeah, if that to me, I want a championship and until we get a championship, all this doesn't matter because I'm not one to lose on purpose. And I hate the whole mentality of losing on purpose and it being okay. So for me, and for my team to go through that, I need a championship to wash that away. Maybe 2. Because you gave me a 10-72 season of garbage. And, that's just not my philosophy.
That was hard to watch,
but
man.
I know a lot of people that said, I was on board with it from day one. We're mediocre. How do you get better in our position?
I think he died for our sins.
He died for our sins. You know what I mean? So maybe if Jimmy had stayed, we would have had to pay him, and I don't know who you would have got back. Maybe I think the whole thing with Jimmy, real quick to answer your point, Cohen. I don't think Jimmy wanted to play with Ben. Because Jimmy needs the ball in his hands whenever he wants the ball in his hands, and in Miami, nobody's going to stop that from happening.
And I mean, look at his players. Look at the players that are playing with him, guys. These weren't top 10 picks.
And listen, don't get me wrong. I respect Miami and what they're doing, but it's a different animal in the playoffs, and I'm not scared. I'm not worried about it. I'm sorry, I'm just not.
Listen, the reason why Miami is always relevant. Look at their coach. And this is the first time with a great player playing a season. Mike, look where they're at.
Mike, you could have had Tatum with Ben and Embiid.
Yes. I mean, I just hate even thinking about that because, like I said, it's
not even like I see what you're saying, like, but you could have had them all. But what we running about 54?
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank, we want to thank everybody that joined us.
I know everybody, so we all mad about that, man. Forget it. He's our enemy now. F Tatum. Go in the playoffs.
Yeah, so yeah, like I was saying real quick.
I think I said this last year before I posted. I hate the trust the process theme. Like the motto. I wish Joel Embiid had a different name because it's not a process anymore.
So yeah. So we'll of course we'll get into this next episode. We'll get into it again, but thank you for everybody for joining us. We had a great time interacting with y'all. That's like I said, that's what the show's really all about is to get to that point where we can interact with you every single show. So, thanks for joining us. And again, as always,